Hello and welcome to a brief little video just sort of summarising the things I talked about in the Quarantunes 9 workshop on Christ Child Lullaby. So first I'm going to look at sort of the technical sheet rather than the arrangement sheet that I provided. So the first thing I want to talk about is the first line, which is just going to be playing notes with the second finger. It's only been written out one-handed, but please do the same with both hands, just so that both hands start to get that feeling of what it's like to do the same thing and how it feels different between the right hand and the left hand. So the first little exercise was just simply playing a note with the second finger. So what we want to aim for here is that you let the third finger, the fourth finger and the little finger just sort of follows the second finger into the hand, and then the thumb, if it voluntarily closes over the top of the second finger, that's perfectly okay too. And the reason for citing this is just so you start to get the feeling of everything closing into the hand and the thumb over the top if it chooses to. Mine always does, but that's just because I like that feeling of everything closing in and opening back up. So the first little exercise doesn't have to just be on one note. Do explore going around the instrument and doing it hands together if you wish. So it's simply going to be place the second finger on the G and then coming away from the string. And same with the left hand. But of course you can go up and down the harp. The next line is about playing fifths, because on one of the accompaniment options to the melody is going to be playing fifths. So the important thing with this one is when we place the fingers, we want to try and make sure that they land on the string together. So with 1 and 3 there. Now again, the fourth finger and little finger are just going to follow the third finger around. Now the second finger, the temptation when it's not being played is to pull it all the way into the hand, well out of the way. You don't want to do that because that introduces unnecessary tension to the hand. What you want to have it do is just sort of float, I don't know, about a centimetre, half an inch-ish, just off the plane of strings, so it's just hanging loosely inside the hand. So that when you play the strings, again, like playing the second finger, everything closes together into the hand. So is the idea. So again, not much on the worksheet. It was just a case of a few G and Ds together, an F and C and back. But again, if this is new for you, please explore other areas of the harp, and again also do the same thing with the left hand an octave lower, just so you start to get a feeling of what it sounds like and feels like to do. The third little exercise, again, do it with both hands, is going to be set up in exactly the same way. So if you look on the handout, there's a little bracket that goes over the top of the G up to the D. Now what this little bracket means in harp playing is that you prepare both notes together. So you don't hover the hand there, place and play the first one, then place and play the second one. You play the pair together. So when we're playing broken two-note arpeggios, in this instance, with 3 and 1, you place the hand on the string exactly the same as if you're going to play it as a chord. So together, you place them. Though this time, of course, we're going to play the third finger, everything follows into the hand, and then the thumb over the top. Fresh placing, you want to make sure everything lands that you need within the bracket lands together. Okay. Again, do the same thing with the left hand. The fourth line is the first and the third phrase of the tune Christ Child Lullaby. But before we get into the rhythm of it, the first thing we need to do is just look at the mechanics of it. So to begin with, we want to place 3, 2, 1 on G, A and B, which is the first bracket over the top of the G, A and B. So we then play 3 and then 2, closing into the hand. Now we need to carry on up the instrument playing the next few notes after we play B. So the preparation is going to be get the second finger underneath the thumb onto the C string. Try to have as much space as you can in here, as long as it's comfortable. You just need to have space for the second finger to be able to move, but also for the thumb to be able to close and have space to, to produce a nice sound. So we then play the thumb. Whoops. So thumb goes over the top. Now before we play the C, the next bracket comes into force. So we place the thumb on the D, we play the second finger, C, then finally the last bracket comes into force. Now what we want to try to do is place 2 and 4 at exactly the same time. Doesn't matter to start off with, you place one and then the other. An exercise you can do, which I'll talk about in a minute, for getting used to placing them together, will help with getting fingers being placed together at once. So before we play the D, 2 and 4 go on the strings. Now, third finger just needs to hang inside the hand. Don't tuck it in too far, just needs to hang there loosely. We can then finally play D, C and G. So in rhythm, it'll be something like this. Now the exercise for practicing that, placing that not unusual shape, but a new shape if you've only just been starting to learn to play the harp. So start off with putting your thumb on the D string. Now place 2 and 4 on the right strings, and what I want you to do is just to lightly squeeze the string, and what we're doing is we're just training the hand to get a feeling for where the fingers need to land. Play the notes, shake your hand out. Now, whether you aim to land on the same strings that you actually need or not doesn't matter, but what you want to be able to do is just land the fingers, okay, as a group. Now, in this instance, we're actually going to place the fingers from a finger that is already on the string. So, what we want to do too is to also be able to just land 2 and 4 on the right strings together with the thumb already placed. So hopefully that will help as a little exercise for getting used to that. Then, the next line is the second phrase of the piece. Again, we've got a bunch of connections to do. So to play the second phrase, what we need to do is place 1 and 3 on the right strings. So second finger just hangs in there, fourth finger, little finger just hangs in there as well. So first we play the thumb. Now same idea as the previous phrase, but we've got to do it the opposite way around. Third finger is placed, and now we need to put 2 and 1 on A and D. Then carry on, play the G, followed by the A. Now, from the D, we're about to go back down, so the next bracket comes into force, which says we need to put 2, 3 and 4 on C, A and F. So, get them placed, and then we can carry on and play D, C, A and F. Once you're comfortable with the mechanics of doing that, let's get it in rhythm. So in rhythm it'll sound along the lines of this. Okay, and finally the fourth phrase of the piece, which in a way is the easiest. So to begin with, we're going to place 1 and 3 on G and D, play the thumb. Before we play D, we need to put 2 and 1 on F and G. So place 2 and 1, then we can play 3, 2, then the thumb. Now, we're playing a second G to finish the phrase. But in this instance, it's going to be played with the second finger on its own, and we do not connect it. So it's just to be second finger on its own. A general rule of thumb, and as always, there are exceptions to this. As a general rule, a note on its own will always be played with the second finger. So if we're getting started, if you're not sure if it's a long note, it's likely the best note, the best finger to use is going to be the second finger. So the last phrase put together will sound a bit like this. So once you're happy with the 3 phrases in the right hand, or playing the tune, something you can also do that will be good for technical development is actually do the same thing with the left hand an octave lower. There's absolutely no harm in the other hand being just as capable as the first. So moving on to the second sheet, I'll just play the melody first on its own. While I always say that it's not good to spend too much time learning just one hand at a time, I would suggest at the moment, have a go at playing the 4 phrases together, just one hand at a time, so just the right hand. And then once you're feeling a little bit more comfortable, then start having a go at adding some left hand in. And all of the left hand options that I've included on the sheet all come from the first 3 lines on the technical aspects sheet. So, here's the tune. So once you're comfortable with playing the tune on its own, we'll start having a go with the simplest kind of accompaniment we can do on the harp, which is just going to be playing individual bass notes. In this version I've chosen, rather than playing bass notes on the downbeat of every bar, every other bar, apart from the 4th phrase, just because of the way the harmony works. So, this is the first version of the Christ Child Lullaby, with just a simple left hand note, so it's just going to be G's, and where appropriate, F. Once you feel comfortable with that, have a go at the next version, which is exactly the same tune in the right hand, but this time we're going to add an extra note to the left hand accompaniment. So we're now going to play fifths. So it'll be G and D together, most of the time on every other bar, and then where needed, F and C. Then as you'll see, just to keep the left hand out of the way of the right hand, in the last phrase there'll just be 1 G, 1 F on its own, and then back to the 5th together. Then finally, if you're starting to feel really confident with doing those 2 things in terms of the left hand, then have a go at applying that 3rd idea, so the 3rd line from the technical aspect sheet, to the accompaniment. So this will mostly work, though there's going to be just a 4th phrase that I wouldn't change from the 2nd arrangement. But The first, second and third phrases, you can split those notes up, so you have the lower note on bar 1, the second note on the second bar, then 3 and 4 in pairs. So, and this is how it would sound played that way.